Started. Good morning. We're learning as Chutz Refuah Shleim Filana Chaya Bas Serach, and for Basia and Bas Chaya when Daf Kuf Tes Amud Aleph by the Mishnah on the bottom, where we're going to start talking about udders. A cow's udder contains milk in it. I guess most cows are constantly providing milk. So that milk, midiraisa, is not milk that will make basa b'chalav. Midiraisa, it has to be milk that was expressed from a cow, that came out of the cow. The milk that she produces inside is not considered basa b'chalav. Even though, like we generally say, blood or milk that is collected inside of an animal does have that status, but the milk that, even though it was collected inside of the animal, midiraisa, it's not going to be considered milk. But midirabbanan, as we're going to see, you have to get rid of it. And we're also going to be talking about dam. Dam, we know the dam of an animal is usher to eat. We know that's why kosher meat is salty. We salt the meat in order to get out all of that blood. You also have to cut it. You cut the areas to get out the blood and the milk. But our mission is going to talk about what happened if you didn't do so. This milk. We're talking about the milk in the lave, in the heart, which is collected milk. The milk inside of the limbs is not. There's that you just salt. You have to do a little bit more to get out the collected milk inside of the heart. So that's the Mishnah. Hakachal, which is an udder of a cow. Kaira, you cut it open. And you remove the milk. Loi karoi, eino evelav. If one did not do so, he's not going to be over. And the Gemara is going to explain what did you have to do when you're kaira. The Gemara is going to come to the conclusion, and Rashi, I believe, says it also. Loi karoi eino over, alichal golkos, loisha, loi al bishul, lav chelim chalav mikvi. Rashi ikam mi yisur derabbanan elai. The Gemara is going to discuss where he was not kairoi, whether that's midrabbanan going to be over on the isser of eating chalav. If he then ate it together with the basar, and he cooked it together with his over on basar b'chal midrabbanan. Then the Mishnah continues: Halev kairoi u'metziyas damai. The heart, which also contains blood, you have to cut it open to be mitzi the dam before cooking it. Loi karoi any over alav. But if he didn't do so, he's not over on it. Rashi explains that this is from Gemara and Krisus, Suk Rashi on the bottom. Lias bekaris, he's not going to be over to be mchoiv karis. But Krisus bukum la believe oif. We're talking about a heart of a bird she'ei bedame kazayas. So we have a very specific case of a bird that its heart is too small to have a kazayas dam. So you can't be over midrabbanan, midiraisa. But the heart of a cow, which is very large, much more than a kazayas, if he doesn't tear it open to remove the blood, after you cook it, there's going to be chayiv karas. Al b'sari ein an esa, shalev chalaku. The Gemara says, but the basar doesn't become awesome. The basar of the lave does not absorb blood. Shalei chalaku ve'eino beilei. He says that means even if you cooked it and then you ripped it open afterwards, it's good. The basar is going to be mutter, because the walls of the heart are very smooth and they don't absorb the dam even when you cook it together. Sagt die Gemara, Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rav, Eina Eivelav Umut. The first thing that we had said, that if someone, Rashi understands this to mean that he roasted the udder of a cow before cutting it open to remove the milk, the collected milk. He's saying, Aina Eivelav, if he didn't do that, and he never he didn't cut open the milk, it's still gonna, and then he cooked the animal, he roasted it. If he cooked it, the Gemara is gonna say that it's gonna be aser, because then while he's cooking it, midrabanan, the milk goes out of the udder, and then it becomes cooked together, midrabanan at least. It can never be, unless it was expressed on the animal, can never be aser midaraisa. But midrabanan, since the milk leaves the udder during the cooking, so then that milk will mix with the meat of the animal, will aser it. But Rav is saying that even though you didn't tear it open, since the whatever milk comes out just drips off, it doesn't cook together with the rest of the meat, it will be mutter l'chatchila to eat. Even though you're supposed to rip it open so that the milk comes out before roasting, and you don't cause this to be expressed through the cooking or through the roasting. But midrabanan, even midrabanan, if you didn't do it correctly and you were not kaira, because that will leave behind some of the milk, and that milk is aser only midrabanan. But the chachamim, as long as he roasted it and caused most of the milk to get out, it's going to be mutter. In fact, the Gemara of Hanan Tznan Eina Eivelav. From the lashon of the Mishnah, it sounds like it says he's Eina Eivelav if he did not tear it open before cooking, before roasting. It sounds like it's only he's not over, but it's still aser. You still have to rip it open. No, the Gemara says really there's no iser at all on the milk in an udder after roasting without kriya. I did by Levis the say by Halev Kara Mitzias Dam, I like her ain't over love. Hasam Yamadu Deliava, Isura Ika, by the heart. Since by the heart you are mechayiv to tear it open. Tananami Reisha ain't over love. So we said the same lashon in the Reish. Leim Misayeli, and I'll bring you right. This is the case that the milk in the udder, even without kriya, is mutter l'chatchila. If you roast it, a udder, you rip it and you take out the chalav. But if you don't do so, you're not over. Halev kara metzias damai loy kara. But if you didn't tear it, then you're required to rip it even after the roasting, and then it becomes mutter. So the mashmais of this brayz is levu d'bayikriya. It's only the heart, because of the dam inside of it, that requires kriya. But a udder does not even require kriya l'chatchila after the roasting. And Zakta Gemara, no, maybe it's the other way around. The malevu desagile b'kriya. Maybe kriya helps on a lave, because like we said, a lave is smooth and it's less permeable than a udder, and even when you roast it, the blood does not get absorbed into it. So all you have to do is do kriya, and then it will be mutter. Maybe the kachal, once the milk comes out of the basa of the udder, it then gets reabsorbed into it during the cooking, and therefore it would be aser even after kriya. It's aser l'chatchila to eat. So this is not a raya necessarily to this pshat that midlechatchila once you do bishul, which is really roasting over here, it's going to be mutter to eat the basar of the kachal of the udder after roasting without even doing kriya. The that's one pshat of what the Rizeir said b'shem Rav. There's another version which is almost exactly the opposite, and the things that we said as kashas are going to be rayas, and the things we said as rayas are going to be kashas. Amar Zeir Amar Rav, Eino Eiver Lava also. He says that if you roasted the kachal without tearing it beforehand, he's not allowed to eat it. The mashmoyis of the lotion of Eino Eiver, l'chayr is mashmataka that it's awesome in the Rabban. So no, it could be like we said in the first shot, that it's really not even usher at all. We use the same lashon in the Reisha, but it's really only because of the Seifa, because the heart is usher if even after you roasted it without, you have to then do kriya like we saw in that brisa. Tashma, we want to bring a raya from the brisa. We said about the lave that you have to rip it open after bishulay, but the Gemara asks the kasha lave the kriya. It's mashma that after roasting, without having been kaira before, and the lave requires that you still do a kriya afterwards to get rid of whatever milk is inside. It's mashma the kachal does not need kriya, that you could eat it right away, even without kriya. Zakamar, no, like we said before, just like we said before, we wanted to bring this as a raya, now we're asking as a kasha. So they say this kasha is also not a kasha. The malev de sagile bikriya v'chale sagile bikriya. Like we said, maybe the kriya only helps for a lev, it doesn't even help for a kachal, and a kachal is taka asuk. So it's not a nishkin kasha. Tani kalishnu kama derav. We have a brisa that supports the first version of Rav, that a kachal, that an udder is usher without the if you don't do another kriya after the roasting. Chal shebishle bechelva mutter. We say that a udder that was cooked, which is really roasted in its milk, is mutter. Which sounds like the first lashon, right? That it's mutter after roasting, it's mutter without anything else. Kava shabishla v'chelva asa. But the keva, which is the last one of the four stomachs of an animal, we're talking over here about a calf that was nursing from its mother, so it still has some milk in its stomach, and you cook that stomach of the calf with the milk inside of it, we say it's awesome. Well, my hafish bein zel is that. What's the difference between the two of them? Is that the one? Is that kanas meiv? Is that ain't kanas meiv? This one, by the milk in the stomach, the milk is sitting there in its stomach. It's milk that had already come out of the mother, so it's midaraisa. It became milk. It had a din of milk. So therefore, it's going to be awesome. But Masha Enkein, the milk in the kachal, as long as it was roasted, it's not milk midaraisa. It's only the milk d'Rabbanan, and the roasting caused most of that milk to go down to drip down. So therefore, it's going to be mutter. When you say lashon mutter, we don't say it's eino everla. So charetz mashma like the first pshat in Rav. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Amar Rav Yehuda, I'm sorry. Kairoi shasi ve'erev v'tachel b'kais. I'm sorry, I skipped the words. Ketzad kairoi. How does he rip it? We say he has to rip the udder to remove the milk. Midrabanan. So Rav Yehuda says you must cut it in both directions, both crosswise and then up and down. The tachu. And then he has to take that once it's opened and push it against the wall to squeeze out the milk. Laza said to his Shamish, he disagreed with Rabbi Yehuda. He said it's not necessary to do that much cutting. Just cut it one time, and then I can eat it. Dr. Mara, my kamashmalon masnisan he. What was Rabbi Laza coming to say? We have it on Mishnah. Mishnah says that you can karev ve'ena over love, and it seems to be saying like the first lashon of Rav. What he's trying to say is you just have to cut it. You don't have to do the more elaborate cutting and ripping that Rabbi Lazar had described. So that Rabbi Yehuda had described. Rabbi Lazar was disagreeing. He's saying you just need to cut it. Amalei Yalsa of Nachman. Yalsa was, I think, a woman. I think it was. No, it's not a woman. No, it is. Who is Yalsa? Zadrashi? Yalsa Ishta. So the wife of Rav Nachman said to him, Michti, called Asal Achmana Sharl and Kavasi. She was obviously a learned woman. She said there's always a kosher version, a loud version of everything that's Asa. And we're going to give a lot of examples of that. Asal and Dama, the Torah asers blood. You're not allowed to eat blood from an animal. That's why we salt it. But Sharalon Kavda, Kveda, the Torah allows a liver. A liver is considered to be made up of all dam. But the Torah, we said that if you roast it, as we're going to learn, that's going to be the next sugya we're going to learn. Tomorrow, it becomes mut. Nida, dam Torah. Even though a nida is aser, we know there's certain times that a isha, her dam is tar after a leda for 7 days. I think it's 7 days for a boy and 14 days for a girl. Even if her isha is roya dam during those yemei taira, no, it's the other way around. It's I think 30 days for a boy and 60 days for a girl, something like that. It's a longer period of time for a girl after the birth of a girl that the dam is not metama, the mother. Chaylev behema and chaylev chaya. Even though the chaylev of a behema is aser, the chaylev, the fats, those fats are mutter by a chaya. Chazir moicha de shibuta. Even though a pig, chazir is aser, its meat is aser, there's a certain animal, a shibuta, which is the taste of its tongue. I'm sorry, of its brain is similar to the taste of a chazir. Gerusa, which is a non-kosher bird. Lishna de kavra. There's a fish whose tongue tastes like that bird. I guess they didn't have Impossible Burgers, so they would have included basa b'cholov. Eishes ish, and Eishes ish is asher, but a grusha b'chaya baila. But you're allowed to marry a divorced woman while her ex-husband is alive. Eishes ach, the wife of your brother is asher, a person's brother is asher, but Yavama, if he dies, then she becomes mutin. Husis, one's not allowed to marry a non-Jew, but Yafas Tayr, if it's during a war, you're allowed to, there's a heta to marry. So she said, this Yalta said, Be'ina lemechel bisra b'chalva. She said, I want to have basa b'chalav, and I want to, where is there a heter way to make basa b'chalav? Amalu Rav Nachman, letavche, Rav Nachman said to his butcher, Zvikula, kachli. He said, take a shvud, take a what do you call it? A spit, and put the udder on it and roast it like that. We said in our Mishnah, this is where it all came from. We said that we're talking about roasting in the Mishnah and not cooking. In our Mishnah said you have to rip it apart. Why was he not ripping it? If Nachman understands, if that was talking about just if you're cooking, then you have to be karet. But if you're roasting it on a spit, then it's mutar lechatchila. But tani shebishlu, we had that brisa that we brought. That hakachal kar mitzir sleiv. I'm sorry, that's not it. That tanya kalish nekama kachal shebishlu b'chal v'y mutar. We said shebishlu. But it's not that lechatchila. That bishloy, like we said, was talking about roasting, but it's only b'di'evet. It didn't say that you could do it lechatchila. Di'evet lechatchila loy. So who had not feel lechatchila? Nachman understands that brisa that says a kachal shebishloy, you could eat it. That's even lechatchila. But atikaboy lumis l'seifa, since the second part of the brisa talks about the fourth stomach, keva shebishlo. That the Mishnah said, the Brisa said, "Shabishlo b'chalva asura." Dafil di'eved namiloy. The gabi, the heart, we said, if you roast it even without ripping it, even b'di'eved, it's asur. Tananami reisha shebishlo. We said shebishlo. You wanted to say that shebishlo, even b'di'eved, by the lave, it's going to be I'm sorry, not by the lave, by the keva, since it has real milk in it. That is. That it was expressed from the mother. It's also with the rice. Even with the average, you're not allowed to eat it. So therefore, we use shebishla on the first part, but Eina Chanami, you could even, according to Rav Nachman, you could even eat it l'chatchil. Kisalik Rabbi Lazar, when Rabbi Lazar left Bavel and went to Eretz Yisrael, Ashke l'ziri, he found ziri. Amalei ikatana dasnaya l'rav kechal. He said he was asking on the second version of the Ikeda Amri of Rav. Rav had said that you're not allowed the chatchila to eat a roasted kachal without tearing it open. So he said, do you have someone who supports that? He pointed to Rav Yitzchak bar Dimi. He said he holds that it's taka ask. Amalei ani lo shenisi. Because he was asking for the brisa. Amalei ani lo shenisi like kachal kolik. Rav Yitzchak bar Dimi denied it. He said, I never said any. Ziri was saying that I'm the one who said b'shem Rav that it's aser, but I never said anything about the whole din of kachal. So what happened? Why did Taka Rav aser it? The Rav bikamas of a god b'geder. Rav came to a valley, meaning Rav came to a place that was totally open, and he made a geder. What does that mean? The Rav ikla tadlofush. He came to this place tadlofush. Shamalahi itza de ka'amra lechaverta. He found a woman that was saying to a friend, "Riva de basra kama chalva boy lubshule." If you're cooking a quarter of a pound, let's say, of meat, how much milk is needed to cook it? Meaning they were totally unfamiliar with the din of basa b'challah. They didn't know you can't cook meat in milk. It's hard to believe. I mean, obviously, it must be people that were listening to a Rav, but there are certain parts of the world, supposedly in Africa, there are people that say they're from the 10 tribes that they know a couple of things, like they'll know maybe, let's say, to light candles on Friday night, but they don't know anything else. So they didn't know about basa b'challah. Rav wanted to teach to impress on them the Isser of basa b'chalav, so he asked on them an udder, even though b'etzem it's mutter. He wanted to make them. He was extra strict with them since they don't have the din of basa b'chalav at all. He added on restrictions to teach them about the severity and how careful you have to be with it. But it was only a one-time thing. Rav Etzem did not hold like we saw in the Brisa, that a kachal, if it's roasted, that it doesn't need to be ripped. Rav Kahana Masni Hachi. This is the version that Rav Kahana. Rav Yossi bar Abba Masni Ana kachal sheminika shanis lei, bepulish Rav Chia shana lei. He said, I was talking about a nursing cow, and that is particularly full of milk. So that is usher. That you do taka have to rip it, even lechatchila after roasting. But I thought, I learned it from Rav Chia, who had just said Kechal Stam, and he thought that Rav Chia was very sharp, and Rav Chia expected people, when he told them that Kechal is also, he thought they would understand that means only a nursing cow. But I misunderstood. He had quoted it, Stamazai is saying that it's usher, but really he just meant in the case of a nursing cow, they have to do kriya after roasting. Rav and Rav Yitzchak by Yosef, Lula Bei Rav Papi. They came to Rav Papi's house. Aisula Kamei Tafshila de Kachal. He brought in front of them a cooked udder. Yitzchak by Yosef Achal. Yitzchak by Yosef ate it. Rav and Loyachal. Rav and Dinadi. Amar Abaya, Rav and Tichla. He called Rav and the I think it means the one who suffered. He had lost his children. He didn't have any children. Rashi says, Shchoil koiver es banach, that all his children did not make it to majority. So it was a pejorative term. Amayla achal. Why are you not eating from this udder? Mifti, Dvisud Rapapi, Barte de Rav Yitzchak Nafcha. This wife of Rapapi, the one who prepared the udder, is the daughter of Yitzchak Nafcha. Yitzchak Nafcha married of the udder. Rav Yitzchak Nafcha never did anything wrong. He was very careful. So she certainly learned from her father, and she prepared it correctly. There was no reason for you to not eat. Ilav the shmiyala mebei nasha lehava avda. And if she wouldn't have learned from her father, from her house, the proper way to do it, she never would have done it. So you could be saimach on it. Besura le'achli kachli. In Surah, they do not eat an udder, but Bedusa achli kachli. And Bedusa they do. That means in Surah they were geyser because of the complications involved with it. Rashi says, le'achli kachli gam afilu tzli v'afilu kara. Even if you did all the preparations, in Surah they were geyser not to eat it at all. But Bedusa they would eat it. Rami bar Tamri. The Havarami bar Tikuli mi Pumbedisa. Rabbi bar Tamri, as we're going to see, was a big Talmud Chacham who was a Talmud of I don't remember who it was, but he was a Talmud of someone from Eretz from Pumbedisa. Ikla L'Sura. He arrived in Surah. Again, Surah was the place where they assered eating kechal, the Maliyum with the Kippuri, and he came on Erev Yom Kippur. Everyone threw out their udders because in Surah they were not allowed to eat it. They had a gzeira on it. Shadinu, and they threw them out. Azal iyu naktinu achelnu. And this Rami bar the Kuli, he was a hard up. He collected the thrown out udders and I guess he roasted them. He ripped them and he roasted them and he ate them. I saw the kamei Rav Chizda. They brought in front of Rav Chizda. Amalei amaita avid hachi. Why are you doing this? Amalei ne'asad Rav Yehuda. I am from Pumbedisa, where Rav Yehuda is the Mara de Asra. The achal, and by us we eat. Amalei v'leslach ne'eslav chumrei hamakom sheyatzu sham v'chumrei hamakom shachol l'sham. The rule is when someone leaves one place and goes to another, you take out the chumras of both places. And over here in Surah, we do not allow eating it. So why were you not machbed it? Amalei chutz l'tchum machaltini. He says, I wasn't in the town of Surah. I was outside of the Tchum, so the rule, the Chumras don't apply. So he asked him, "Ma tavsinu? What did you use to roast it?" Amalei, the portsini. I used the grape pits. He said, like, you don't have anything. You're outside of town. There's no wood there. So what are you using? So he said, portsini, I use the pits that they throw out when they make grapes. So he said, you're not a local. You don't know where these grape pits came from. Maybe they were from grapes that were pressed by Goyim. It was after 12 months, and after 12 months that they lose their status, that once they're dry, what does Rashi say? Only moist grape pits are asur in Hana, als possible yain esk. Yeveshim mutar, behelam lachem kol shnei masa chodesh, and they're only moist for 12 months. So you ask, V'dilma de gezel hava, how do you know that the owners didn't want them? Amalei, yish bailam hava. The bailam were miyayish on it. The kadachu bei chilfi, they were so old that there was already like weeds growing out of them. So there for a long time, so the bailam certainly were miyayish. Chazir lo yhava monach tefillin. So they were in attack mode. Rav Chizda was not happy with this fellow, this whippersnapper who had answers for everything. He saw he wasn't wearing tefillin. Amalei, my time tefillin. Why are you not wearing tefillin? Amalei, choyle mayin. I have a stomach ache and I'm not allowed to wear tefillin. But Amar Rav Yehuda, choyle mayin potam not tefillin. Someone who has a bad stomach doesn't wear tefillin. Chazir lo have a karami chuti. He saw he wasn't wearing tzitzis. Amalei, my time less lachuti. Why are you not wearing your tzitzis? Amalei, talis shulahi. It's a borrowed talis. Amar Rav Yehuda, talis shula kol shashim yam p'tura minat tzitzis. As long as if you have a baguette with 4 corners that you borrowed, you don't put tzitzis on it. There was a person that was not, they brought him someone who was not b'mechabed his parents, kafsu, and they gave him patch for it. Amalei, amalu shavkua. So this Rami Bar Tami said to them, Bartikula, said to them, you should let him go. You can't give him malchus. At the time, they call Mitzvah Shema Anscharvitzida in Bezdin Shalomata Muzarala. You're not mechuyev to give malchus for Kibbut Avayim, since it has the Torah says that someone who's Mechabed Avayim is going to get Arichas Yomim. So you can't impose a Israel. You can't impose a punishment. Amalei, so Chizah said to him, Chazina lach haricha tuva. He said, I see that you're a very sharp person. Amalei, have a ba'asir Rabbi Yehuda achvinu lachurpoi. He said to him, if you would be in Rabbi Yehuda's, in Pumbedisa, where I come from, then I would really show you how smart I am. So he said that I just had to do it over here. This is the most I could come, but if I would be home, I would really be on my game. Okay, so this is the end of the issue of the udder, and tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, will continue talking about the liver, the blood that goes into a liver, and how you kasha that. Okay, have a good day.